You've probably seen your fair share of weird weddings, but this one takes the cake. One Roman emperor's obsession with his own beauty and power went so far that he staged a bizarre wedding with his own statue. And to make matters even more unbelievable, he wasn't the only one who participated in this strange ceremony. The future of Rome was at stake. But what did the emperor actually marry? And why was it so important for him to do so? Why else would he have invited 2,000 important guests and thrown gold coins from a tower, letting the common folk fight over the riches? You might not believe it, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. What you are about to hear will blow your mind. Imagine you're a Roman citizen. Life has been good since your beloved Caesar adopted you as his son and made you an official part of the Roman Empire. You travel around the empire, living a life of luxury and doing your best to stay out of the crossfire between the rival families that want their own piece of the pie. But little do you know, everything is about to change when a golden invitation arrives, asking you to attend the most important wedding in Roman history. Who is getting married? Well, no other than Caesar himself. But wait, isn't Caesar a man? How can he get married to another man? Well, that's precisely why this wedding is so scandalous, because he is marrying a statue. If you were skeptical and didn't show up, you would have missed the spectacle of a lifetime. There were parades, banquets, and games, and all the while people were whispering about what the ceremony would look like. In fact, the wedding preparations lasted 3 whole months as Rome was being decorated with flowers, statues, and golden chariots. And when the day finally came, the streets were filled with people eager to catch a glimpse of the ceremony. After all, it was an open secret that the emperor had fallen in love with his own statue. But nobody expected the wedding to actually take place. The ceremony took place in the palace of the Cistercians. As the priest walked down the aisle, everyone's eyes were on him. He stopped right in front of the altar where a statue of the emperor stood. To make matters more bizarre, the statue was fully clothed in fine garments, just like a real person. The priest then turned to Caesar and said, "My son, do you take this woman to be your wife?" Startled by the question, Caesar came to his senses and realized what was happening. He immediately shouted, "No, no, no. This isn't what I wanted." It was too late though, because the ceremony had already begun. The priest continued on, saying, "Then let the gods be witness to your troth." And before Caesar could protest, the priest had already joined the hands of the groom and the bride. They were officially man and wife. But why did Caesar agree to this marriage? Was it because he was afraid of what people would say? Or was there something else going on here? If you think that's crazy, wait till you hear what happened next. Everyone was celebrating, but for Caesar, the joy didn't last long. That night, he couldn't sleep and kept thinking about how humiliated he felt. When the priest tricked him into marrying the statue, all he could think about was getting out of this sham marriage. So the next morning, he called for a meeting with the priest. He told him he needed to annul the marriage, claiming that he was under the influence of witchcraft when he had agreed to marry the statue. The priest, however, refused to accept the annulment. According to him, once a man and a woman were joined together, no one could separate them. Plus, the marriage was blessed by the gods themselves, so it couldn't be dissolved. Caesar was furious. But he knew the priest was right. He had made a vow in front of the gods, and breaking it would bring bad luck upon him and the empire. Desperate to find a solution, he turned to the oracles for help. But instead of providing him with an answer, they only added fuel to the fire. The oracle of Delphi told him that the only way to end the marriage was by offering a virgin to the gods. But who could he sacrifice to appease the gods? Was he willing to kill an innocent girl just to end his marriage? His advisors weren't much help either. Some suggested that he should just accept his fate, while others advised him to flee Rome and start a new life somewhere else. But Caesar couldn't bear the thought of abandoning his empire. He loved Rome too much to leave it behind, no matter how difficult things got. And if you think the situation couldn't get any more complicated, think again. The Senate had declared that Caesar was unfit to rule, and now they were looking for an excuse to get rid of him. What was Caesar to do? Every option seemed impossible. His advisors were useless. The priest wouldn't annul the marriage, and the Senate wanted him dead. It seemed like all hope was lost. That is, until Caesar remembered a woman named Julia Misa. She was a former empress, who had recently taken a vow of chastity. Caesar knew she was a devout woman who would never refuse to help someone in need. So he sent for her, explained his predicament, and asked for her help. Julia Misa was horrified to hear about Caesar's situation, but she didn't hesitate for a moment. She knew she had to help him, even if it meant sacrificing herself. She told Caesar to bring her to the temple where he had married his statue. The next day, Caesar led Julia Misa to the temple. Everyone was shocked to see her there, but she didn't seem to care. She walked up to the statue of Caesar and started talking to it. "Oh, my husband," she said, "I know you don't remember me, but we were once lovers. You may not want to be with me now, but I'm here to help you." With that, she threw herself at the statue and embraced it. Everyone gasped, but Julia Misa didn't seem to notice. She stayed there for hours, hugging the cold stone and begging Caesar to forgive her. When Caesar saw how selfless Julia Misa was, he felt a surge of gratitude. He knew that she had put her own feelings aside to help him, and he would never forget that. But the question still remained, would Julia Misa be able to break the curse? Just when everyone had lost hope, a miracle happened. The statue of Caesar suddenly started to glow. Everyone present there fell to their knees and prayed to the gods. Then, slowly but surely, the glow started to fade away, and when it did, the room was filled with gasps and cheers. The curse had been broken, but the celebration didn't last long. The Senate had heard about the strange ceremony, and they were furious. They accused Caesar of betraying Rome and violating their customs. And then they did the unthinkable. They declared war on Caesar. Rome was being torn apart by civil war, and Caesar knew he had to do something to stop it. He marched on the city with his army, determined to put down the rebellion. But as he entered Rome, he was met with the sight of burning buildings and dead bodies. It was too late. The city was in ruins, and there was nothing he could do to save it. Devastated by the destruction, Caesar returned to his palace. He spent days in his chambers, too sad to come out. No one knew what he was thinking, but some say he regretted his decision to marry his statue. Others say he wished he had listened to his advisors and left Rome. But whatever his thoughts were, they would never know because soon after, he died under mysterious circumstances. Some believe he was poisoned, while others claim he took his own life. But the truth is, no one really knows what happened. After Caesar's death, Rome never recovered. The empire was divided among his heirs, and the Pax Romana came to an end. From then on, the empire was constantly plagued by civil wars and economic crises. And historians argue that it all started with Caesar's bizarre marriage to a statue. But hey, who are we to judge him? After all, he wasn't the first man to fall in love with an inanimate object. Just look at all those guys who have a crush on Taylor Swift or Harry Styles. Don't they all seem like they'd marry their idols if given the chance? Well, maybe not, but who knows? Maybe in another life, in another time, you might be the guy who marries his own statue. It might not be the most conventional wedding, but hey, if it makes him happy, then who are we to judge? Just don't invite us to the bachelor party. We'll pass.